There are some who think oil sands development is the answer to our energy problems. There's tens of billions of dollars, checks being written as we speak at this very moment, to produce more and more oil sands quicker, faster, and with an intensity and an enormity unlike perhaps anything we've seen. And it is absolutely true. For Alberta, for parts of Canada, it may be the gold rush, it may be jobs, it will be jobs, it will be a bump to the economy, but the implications, as good as it is to the economy, James Hansen, the leading climate scientist, tells us it is a game changer, a deal breaker for a future of our society, of our economy, given the implications of water damage, water contamination, greenhouse gas emissions, and so on. All I'm saying is what we all know. Energy mix is extremely complicated. It's tied to natural resources that are about to be depleted. It's tied to our greenhouse gas emissions, and I wish there were easy answers. There, of course, aren't. But I will say a couple of themes. Fast forward, and again, Aaron, I'm on very fast forward as it relates to sustainability and the right energy. Fast forward because the price is right and because it looks great as a short-term issue, as a short-term benefit, as bringing the economics into the place where we would hope to see it, isn't always the right answer. And moving forward with the kind of fast forward in natural gas may not be the answer. Natural gas will be part of our future, whether you want to call it a bridge fuel or something else, but it's got to go forward with the right protections in place. Fred will talk more about that, no doubt, and is doing leadership work in that space. We need the right protections. We need the right analysis. We need to know what it's doing. Somehow fixing energy and getting cheaper energy for the short term, but contaminating water supplies, so our agricultural industry is in jeopardy, is not a fix right answer. I think we've got to leave here looking at the big picture. One is that despite this changing landscape, we've got to make sure we're doing everything we can around energy efficiency, number one. We've got to make sure we are building renewables into our mix, number two. We've got to make sure that the good price of gas today isn't crowding out the cost of renewables and inhibiting the future of renewables. And we have to think about how to do it. And none of this can be decided based on the short term. I don't want to be an extremist and I don't want to be an alarmist. I work with many, many, many of you. So I think we share the vision that the issues of climate change, of water shortages, the kind of things that are directly impacted by our energy choices are material risk issues for financial markets, they're national security issues, they're environmental and social issues, and they truly run to the future of where we go as a society.
The ironies of the fact that we've had the warmest 12 months from last September to this September in the continental United States ever, unprecedented droughts. We have the polar ice cap reaching new historic lows. And as we sit here this morning, we have a hurricane of historic proportions bearing down on the Northeast. And in the presidential debates, for the first time since 1984, climate change never came up. Natural gas itself, methane, the fugitive emissions that come out of both wells and pipelines, those emissions are a very potent greenhouse gas, 72 times more powerful than carbon dioxide ounce per ounce over the period of the next 2 decades. Another irony is we don't know how much is coming out, but we know it's a significant amount, and every ounce that comes out undermines the climate advantage that gas has over coal. So the Environmental Defense Fund has put together a coalition of academic experts as well as industry participants to begin to measure how much is coming out and then, of course, to fix the leaks. Because if we don't do this, we're basically putting our foot on the accelerator of climate change as we're already heading toward a cliff, and that would be crazy. Put simply, we have to get the rules of natural gas right not only for climate change to prevent these fugitive emissions, but also to protect the health of people who live around this intensive industrial development. And to date, those rules are not yet nearly right.
Natural gas. We have a lot of people here who use it rather than produce it. What do they do to contribute to the picture you'd like to see?
Well, if you use natural gas and you're in an urban area or no matter where you are, you may not know this, but you're paying for gas in almost every place in the country that isn't delivered to you. The gas that leaks out is charged to you as part of the tariffs or PUC rules. So one of the things that you all have an interest in doing is really joining with us to close those leaks so you're no longer paying for them. Certainly in the states that produce gas, I think it's in the interest of those who consume gas that it be produced cleanly. There's 14 states in this country that produce 85% of the gas. We need businesses, environmental groups, citizens, and elected officials, and the industry producing the gas to get together behind strong common sense rules that protect the groundwater from spills, from leaks in the drilling shaft, that protect citizens from the air emissions of conventional pollutants as well as the greenhouse gases, methane. We need to figure out ways that communities that are about to see intensive drilling can go through a planning process to prepare for what's going to happen to their roads and the truck traffic and to minimize that truck traffic. So there's a lot to do on natural gas. Getting back, Eric, to using natural gas as well as using electricity, efficiency is the biggest thing.
I think I'm right in having seen some guidelines around oil sands productions and some other efforts in that area.
Right.
So knowing that we've got what we've got, how do we, whether we're major producers or users, contribute to the best possible answer in these different sources?
We got what we got, but we have the ability to change what we got, and we've got to change it to a sustainable energy mix in future. And that means looking at our largest uses of energy, real estate, transportation, electric utilities, how to change what they use, how we build cars, what our roads look like, and what kind of energy mix we have. Right now, we don't have it just right on the energy mix. On a company level, these issues have to be taken out of the ghetto of a sustainability group or a CSR group or an energy group. We're talking about fundamental material issues to the future of the firm, and they've got to be part of the key material discussions at a corporation. We're seeing more and more, nearly 50% of boards of directors of publicly traded companies and others, having sustainability and energy discussed at a board level because it's a material risk, and the duty of a fiduciary is to look at material risks. So setting goals for these things at an enterprise-wide level, these things being energy efficiency, they being greenhouse gas emissions, water use, the depletion of natural resources, all of which are part of our energy mix, setting goals at the highest levels. It's being done, it's not odd. Tying compensation to these goals. Tom King at National Grid, ask him whether his greenhouse gas emissions goals have anything to do with his compensation. He'll tell you it does. Go to Intel, where every single employee at the company has some tie of their compensation to their greenhouse gas emissions. We've got to make this part of the system. These issues in the end are going to need a policy solution as well. Unless we have the right capital market signals, if carbon pollution costs the economy money and society money, it ought to be priced.